Both these characters struggle with the same problem you're probably hoping to solve: boredom. Everything is too difficult and too much effort for Nagi, whereas by comparison, Rio was bored because everything was too easy for him. Blue Lock eventually solves this. It's a bit of a roller coaster for both of them, especially Rio, but they're certainly not bored. However, it does take a while for Nagi. At first, he doesn't really enjoy football. Whilst I won't go into any spoilers from it, we do see in episode Nagi that he's not particularly excited by football at first. And why do you think that is? Why is Nagi bored at this point in the series? Specifically, why doesn't he enjoy football now, but does later on? Of course, in the moments he enjoys it, he's really challenging and pushing himself, but I think there's more to it than that. He's got absorbed into it to the point where he's allowed himself to forget that it's difficult. And because he's pushed past that point, he gets to enjoy the rewards and excitement of it. We even see in chapter 13 of episode Nagi, where we see the first defeat against Rin through Nagi's eyes, that even after they lost, even though he was one loss away from being kicked out, he was still having fun. But before coming to Blue Lock, Nagi suffered from the same problem so many of us do. We're bored because with so much to do, it feels as though we have nothing to do. We get a super interesting panel in the Team V vs Team Z match where we're first introduced to Nagi, and we see that his life was filled with boredom until now. And I think the best way to talk about how he overcomes this, and how you can too, is to talk about something that a lot of people are going to disagree with and probably unsubscribe, and that's fair enough. But just bear in mind, I'm not saying this applies to everyone, this is just my own experience and it's not an attack on anyone, it's quite the opposite. So when I was younger, my routine used to consist of waking up, playing League of Legends all day and going to sleep. And I did that for about 10 years, so you would assume I really enjoyed it, right? But here's the thing, when I was playing for 10, 12 hours, if you asked me at any point after the first couple of hours, certainly after 3 or 4, if I was having fun, if I was enjoying myself, my answer would have been no. So why did I keep playing for another 10 hours afterwards? Simply because I didn't know what else to do. Now, some of you are probably thinking, well, you weren't enjoying it because you were playing League of Legends. And you're absolutely correct, that game is horrific. But even when I've played other games, after a few hours, I just wasn't enjoying it. And a lot of you are probably expecting me to say, oh, video games are horrendous and never play them. That's honestly not it. I still do between sort of 0 and 5 hours of gaming a week. Recently on Lethal Company because it's just great fun. So I still do a little bit. But here's the thing, I'm sure a lot of you can relate to what I was saying about playing way beyond the point of actually enjoying it. And it's such a frustrating, uneasy feeling because you know you should be doing something else. And sometimes it does get to the point where you kind of feel bad about yourself. But again, it was just a easy, zero resistance thing to do. If what I've said doesn't apply to you, and you can play games all day, every day, and still enjoy it, then fair enough, but I highly recommend still just spending at least a bit of time each day doing something else. Just a bit of time at least, because you will look back and regret it like crazy. You'll wish you spent even an hour or 2 of that time just doing something else. Like in my case, I can't hate my younger self or be angry at him for doing that because he just didn't understand any of this. But if he'd spent an hour or 2 a day learning to code or learning literally anything else, what do you think would have happened if instead of 12 hours of gaming, it was 10 hours in gaming and 2 of something resourceful? He would have not only had so much more fun throughout the day compared to those last couple hours of gaming at the end of a whole day of doing so. I would have honestly enjoyed just learning something I had an interest in way more. But I would just be in a much better position as in present day me because I'd have some sort of extra skill that I'd gradually been learning over the course of years. Anyway, this is getting super off topic. The important part here is, with all that in mind, why keep doing these crazy gaming sessions when I wasn't even enjoying them? Even if I knew that I shouldn't be, and I actually wanted to be doing something else. Well, because I didn't know what else to do. Or rather, the things I wanted to do just seemed way too complicated and overwhelming to even try. It felt like there was this big barrier of learning what to do that stopped me. And again, Nagi shows a really cool way to get around this. So to use the obvious example of a YouTube channel, I kind of had the idea that I wanted to do something like this a long time ago. But to do that, I'd have to figure out what kind of videos to make, what microphone to use, what editing software to use. Is this idea going to work? Will that idea work? Should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? What thumbnail should I be using? What should I call my channel? You get the idea. And I'm sure you've experienced something similar with something before. By comparison, instead of going through all the pain and stress of having to figure all that out, it's a hell of a lot easier to just load up a game and play it. And this is basically the way Nagi plays football initially. Trying to come up with a strategy or play himself is a lot more effort and headache than just taking the easy route and waiting for the ball to come his way. But I really want to go back to this panel here. I'm not motivated, so it's impossible for me. This is something that only clicked to me last week. It's not that it's impossible because you're not motivated. You're not motivated because you think it's impossible. Of course you're not going to be motivated to do something extremely complicated and overwhelming, because your brain is just going to see that as a waste of time, especially when you throw in all this uncertainty over the right way to do things. Which is a really important point, because when we see Nagi play football, the part he finds a drag isn't actually playing football. It's more all the decisions he has to make during it. Once he has a pass coming his way and he knows where he's going, what he has to do, he gets quite into it. And why is that? Well, think about when you're on Nagi, you load up a game. It's pretty easy to do. There's not really any resistance to it, even though once you get into the game, I mean, it depends on the game obviously, but chances are you've still got a lot of decisions to make. You know, where should I be going? Should I be using these items or this character, or would it be more optimal to do this, etc. But having to learn all that and think about all that doesn't stop us loading up the game. In fact, sometimes it's part of the appeal of it. So why does it stop us starting some new project or hobby? Because you're not thinking about any of that when you're opening up the game. You're just thinking, I want to play this. Then once you get into the game, that's when you start to think about all those other things. You have a really simple, easy way to get past that initial resistance and throw yourself into it, which you simply don't have with most things. Going back to Nagi, he didn't enjoy football initially, and likely would have never tried it without Ryo, but he was fortunate enough to have Ryo push him past that initial discomfort, because although it was difficult, once he got stuck into it, it was fun. And that distinction is what I think causes so many of us to just be bored. What's fun and what's easy aren't necessarily the same thing. In fact, sometimes they're the complete opposite. Often when we're bored, we kind of just fill our time with whatever is easiest, but it's not always as fun as we maybe expect it to be. But as we've seen from Nagi, if you only ever take the easiest route, if you're not willing to push past that initial barrier, you'll be bored your whole life. Now, there is of course a pretty big problem that this video hasn't answered at all, and that is what is actually going to be fun for you. And obviously I couldn't tell any one person what they'd find fun, let alone nearly 45,000 subscribers. But a really interesting point here is Nagi didn't find football fun at first. The reason I spent so long yapping about video games was for the point about how they bypass that initial resistance of this is going to be difficult by just throwing you into the game. But you're not going to have that for anything else. Maybe you'll be lucky enough to have someone push you past it, but otherwise you've just got to push it past it on your own, and recognize that on top of feeling better about yourself and whatever external BS you get, chances are you'll have a lot more fun from doing even a little bit of something difficult. Thank you very much for watching. As always, I still plan to make a more sort of general video on Nagi, so be sure to sub if you don't want to miss that. Otherwise, cheers for watching and see you next week.